a quick overview before the movie starts. This hell is shaped like a TV, because the influence exerted on viewers by many TV personalities, in my eyes, is evil. The persons and sins of this hell are separate from the shape. This hell is divided into 5 separate channels, each with their own respective sins. The people featured in the TV shows are people that populate the particular level. A contrapasso follows each TV show. Zachary Weisberg's Hell is brought to you by Comcast, giving their customers hell since the 1960s. Now loading. Please wait. And welcome back to Fathers of Warfare. Coming in at number 5 on our list is Mr. David Bushnell. His name might not sound familiar, but in the modern era, Bushnell's inventions of the time bomb and submarine are very familiar. Although his intended use of his inventions ultimately failed Revolutionary War America, further improvement, expansion, and development of his inventions has led to countless deaths. Next on our list is John Browning. Browning is credited with 128 firearm-related patents and is considered the father of automatic weaponry. During his lifetime, he made revolutionary improvements to the machine gun, including a 50 caliber machine gun still used today. Browning's automatic rifle, or BAR, is heavily used in World War I and World War II as a tool of mass murder. And at number 3, Fritz Haber. Haber was a German chemist and the first person to synthesize ammonia. This ammonia was then used to make mustard gas. Haber is affectionately known as the father of chemical warfare, and since his synthesis of ammonia, mustard gas has been a bringer of mutation, cancer, and horrible blisters. Our number 2 actually never invented a device used in war, but rather influenced and funded the invention of a tool used in execution. Thomas Alva Edison pioneered the way that we use electricity. In 1890, Edison funded and promoted the invention of the electric chair to prove to the world that alternating current, or AC, was deadlier than Edison's preferred method of current, direct current, or DC. The chair invented was adopted by New York State as a method of execution, and the first execution to take place under the electric chair was described as an awful spectacle, far worse than hanging. Topping our list at number 1 is another man who didn't actually invent anything. However, his letters sent to President Roosevelt convinced him to take on a project to invent the most destructive weapon the world has seen in its history thus far. I'm talking about, of course, the atomic bomb. This letter, and the results of projects related, caused nearly 200,000 casualties in Japan. It also caused a Cold War and a worldwide arms race. Despite Albert Einstein's contributions to the field of science, he lands the number 1 spot on our list, with his urging the American government to work on the atomic bomb. These men's destruction of countless families, individuals, and cultures give them a special function. People populating this channel are all being eaten by ants. The ants represent those who have lost their lives and way of life to the devices or actions of those being punished. They are being eaten from the legs upward to the head to symbolize the destruction of the foundations of society and the loss. Welcome to American Excess. I'm your host, Stephen Houston. Let's jump right into tonight's stories. Tonight's first story isn't about anyone particularly famous, but it gave me a good laugh and made me give a sad look at the status of our country. Donna Simpson holds the record for the fattest woman to give birth, but like any overweight person, she can never have enough. Donna wants to be the world record holder for the world's fattest woman. But how does a mother find the time to make the money to support such a large eating habit? This is where the story gets interesting. Donna Simpson logs onto her webcam every day and performs shows for anyone willing to pay her to watch as she stuffs food down her face. That's right, people pay her to eat. Next is a man of many millions of dollars, many millions of fans, and certainly quite a bit around the waistline as well. Mr. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll. Elvis is known for his controversial dance moves and seductive singing voice, but the public is also very aware of his weight problems as well. Elvis was reported to eat more than 10,000 calories a day during his lifetime. Yes, that's only 10 Big Macs, but it's 10 more than I'd agree. Tonight's third story proves that a sizable watch collection, a Fort Lauderdale mansion, a private jet, and $1.2 billion can only go so far. Scott Rothstein ran a Ponzi scheme through his Fort Lauderdale law firm, and over the course of his crime spree, he took in over $1.2 billion. Part of that money was used to pay for a gilded toilet. Rothstein took his porcelain throne and then covered it in gold. I wonder what kind of toilets they have in prison. In the 1950s, Jerry Lee Lewis was showing the world rock and roll when he made a very controversial decision that nearly ruined him. After he decided to marry a 13-year-old first cousin, his European tours were canceled, and Lewis went from playing multi-thousand-seat arenas to small bars and pubs. Though his income changed, his lavish lifestyle did not, and soon enough, Lewis found himself $3 million in debt. Tonight's last story shows that even New York Giants ex-linebacker Lawrence Taylor isn't tough enough to beat the IRS. His drug habits, tax problems, and child support issues left him penniless. Due to his own fiscal irresponsibility and drug addiction, he's now left penniless. What are tonight's subjects up to? It's a great question, you ask. They're all currently tied down in an empty room. They're all mute, and their world is silent. Because they wanted more than they could have in their lives, they have nothing in death. It's time for Celebrity Mouthful. We've got a great show for you tonight, featuring big names and big heads. A Baltimore radio host is a little disgruntled about Daniel Tosh's ego. When congratulating Tosh on winning a comedy award, the radio show received just a half-blank thanks from the comedian. In an interview with Boston.com, Tosh even calls his own jokes arrogant. His material most certainly is arrogant and provocative, but at least he's honest with it. More trouble with awards shows. Everyone knows Kanye West. His famous line, "Yo Taylor, I'ma let you finish," went viral after his interruption of Taylor Swift's acceptance speech for the Video Music Awards Best Female Video. I'm fairly certain that Kanye West is the only celebrity to interrupt an award show winner to tell her that she doesn't deserve her award because he doesn't agree with the pick. Good job, Kanye. Keep thinking ahead. Terrell Owens has always been known to cause controversy in the locker room. The star receiver has caused many problems with many quarterbacks and many teams, and it seems like not very many people want him around. Reporter Jacob Bradley says that despite Terrell Owens' talent, he would be unhappy to see him on his favorite team. Terrell Owens is known to be a ball hog and a troublemaker, and it certainly hurt his ability to find work. The Donald. Mr. Trump is known for his loud and public criticisms of others, and they can often be quite harsh. This can be seen firsthand on his TV show, The Apprentice, where the Donald has coined the phrase, "you're fired." Also, he's given himself the nickname The Donald. I know very few presidential candidates with a schoolyard nickname being thrown around on the national news. With a presidential candidacy that was publicly acknowledged as a media stunt, Trump's high and mighty attitude of himself as a business master billionaire has gone a little bit too far, despite all the money. Would you say that President Obama is one of the top 4 presidents in American history? Most people would say no, but not Obama. In an interview with 60 Minutes, Obama compared his achievements with greats like Lincoln and FDR. Obama's illegal appointment of Richard Cordray shows that he thinks that he's a little bit too good to follow the Constitution. Of course, he's read it, right? He's the president. Whew, didn't we get a mouthful today? These 5 men are going to get much more of a mouthful, however. The president, the candidate, the 2 superstars, and the comedian are all filled with water. Once they're all filled up, the water inside them is frozen, and the ice that fills them expands and slowly rips them apart. Since they're so full of themselves in life, they're even more full of themselves in hell. Thanks for watching Celebrity Mouthful. See you next week. Known for his roles in A Knight's Tale, Brokeback Mountain, The Patriot, and a posthumous Oscar in The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger had a lot going on for him. But a successful acting career and an up-and-coming career as a director all came to a halt as Ledger's abuse of prescription medication, including oxycodone, ended his life abruptly. Alcoholism has been a trend among musicians for a long time, as Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart can tell. Mozart was known as a child prodigy for his composition skills, and centuries after his death, his works are still being played worldwide by top-tier musicians.
Mozart's abuse of alcohol led him to die at the young age of just 35. He was in the middle of composing a funeral requiem, one that would later be finished and played at his own funeral. Who knows what 10 more years of Mozart's brilliance could have brought to the world. Amy Winehouse's young death was a premature ending to a life that was sure to be filled with promise. Before she was 25, she had won 5 Grammy Awards and been nominated for 6. Her career was taking off, but she did have an addiction problem. Her alcoholism led to her death when she died of alcohol poisoning. Winehouse's €10 million net worth, best-selling album of the century in the United Kingdom, and rising prowess couldn't save her from her own demise due to her addiction. John Belushi was an iconic comedian who enjoyed popularity as a blues brother and as a regular on Saturday Night Live. His performances in Animal House were legendary, as was his college sweatshirt. However, Belushi's taste for drugs was the most dominating aspect of his personality. Belushi died after a massive drug overdose on both cocaine and heroin. Belushi had just finished 11 speedballs when his heart stopped permanently. All the joy he had brought to countless people was shattered and cloaked in despair. Boy George's addiction has not taken his life, but it has ruined his career. A successful musician and dancer with an interesting fashion sense had his career brought to a screeching halt after multiple arrests due to alcohol-related violence and drug possession charges. Although he has plans for an album in 2012, it seems that most of his fans passed out of the 80s. For wasting away their careers, and in most cases their lives, these addicts are to be suspended from a tightrope and blindfolded. Since they had no direction in life, they have no direction in hell, hence the blindfold. And since they had no balance in their lives, then they have no balance in hell. Celebrities can get very agitated. Let's look into some that lost their temper a few times. Marvin Gaye Sr. never got along with his son, Marvin Gaye Jr. The younger Marvin was an accomplished musician, but moved in with his parents because of some personal problems that he was coping with. After buying his father a gun to help his father protect Marvin Gaye Jr., a bad argument turned that gun into the weapon that killed his purchaser. Marvin Gaye Sr. had shot and killed his son. What was their argument about? A missing insurance policy. Everyone knows what Chris Brown did. He beat up Rihanna. She had her bruises, and now they've healed and passed. The lingering options about Brown still remain, but his actions have landed him a spot in hell. Unlike most murderers, Pedro Lopez has had more than 3. He's had more than 30, 50, 100, 200, 250, 300, no. Pedro Alonso Lopez has been convicted of over 350 murders. He's confessed to killing more than 350 young girls in Ecuador, Peru, and Colombia. At first, police didn't believe his confession, but after a mudslide unveiled a mass grave of over 50 young girls, they knew that he was serious. Lopez is currently awaiting death in a Colombian prison cell. Offer sure is a good name for a salesman. Offer Shlomi, the ShamWow guy, has sold millions of cheap cooking appliances and absorbent towels, but he's also had his run-in with the law. Like all strange news stories, it happened on Miami Beach. Vince, as he calls himself, had an altercation with a prostitute when something went wrong. As he put it, she bit his tongue and refused to let go. Now what did our mothers teach us to do when a prostitute tries to bite off our tongue? Beat her, of course. The charges were eventually dropped. The last person in hell is Hitler. No, wait. The last person in hell is Mary Todd Lincoln, wife of President Lincoln. Mary Todd was reported as being very violent and abusive towards her husband. There have been reported instances where Abe was hit in the head with a piece of firewood because he took too long to chop it, or slapped in the face with a piece of breakfast meat because Lincoln bought the wrong cut at the store. Lincoln described Mary Todd's temper as ungovernable and once granted a pardon to a Union soldier so that he could marry his sweetheart. Lincoln later said, "I wanted to punish the lad. In a year, he will regret getting his pardon." Violence is an act of choice. It is often a choice made without thinking. And for this reason, the contrapasso of this channel is for the victims to beat their own brains in with their hands. Hands are the most simple and direct tool used in a violent scenario, and the brain is what makes the choice to be violent. Their violent tendencies destroy their logic, and their minds. Hi. Thanks for watching this, even though you were required to. I just finished this, and now I'm adding this last part into my video. It's 12:40 a.m. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.